Well, with the tough economic times, it's even more important to know how to manage or reduce your debt.
That is for sure. And joining us now with some tips on this is Linsy with Debt-Free America.
Linsy John's here.
Linsy, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And I love this booklet that you brought in here. Hold that up for a second. It's,
Sure.
It's a handy little book, and I know a lot of people could actually learn a lot from this. It's
Right.
basically a budgeting book, and it tells you what to do and how to save and how not to go into debt.
Right. This is a free downloadable booklet at our website, debtfreeamerica.com. So if you know that you need assistance in budgeting or you need more information, you could download it or take a look. There's actually certain pages like tracking your spending every day, worksheets that you can take a look. So
Let's talk about how much Americans are in debt. Do you have the latest figures on that? How poor are we?
we are unfortunately a debt-addicted culture and society. Consumer prices jumped up 1.1% in June alone, and that's more than what was expected. And MSN Money stated that each American has an average of about $9,000 in credit card debt. And that's on a personal level.
Yeah.
On a nationwide level, it's $850 billion, which is 4 times more than it was since 1990. So we seriously need to reevaluate our financial stance and see where we can budget and cut back money.
When it comes to budgeting, you have a plan for an ideal budget.
Yes.
Let's break down those percentages.
Okay, there are certain percentages for housing, for transportation, whether it's your debt expenses or savings. There is a certain percentage, for example, savings for 10%. You also have debt payments that are 15%, but those percentages are general. It basically goes according to each person's individual needs.
Housing,
How
35%.
much debt they have, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah, how much?
Exactly.
And housing costs is higher than it has been. I mean, I remember my dad always telling me don't spend more than 25% on your housing costs.
Right.
And now it's up to 35% and probably a lot more for some people.
Exactly. So you really need to sit down and see exactly what your budgeting can bring you. There are a few steps that we can take in order to try not to get into debt or try to get out of it, for example.
Yeah.
One thing particular is try not to get into debt in the first place. Don't spend more than you make. Don't spend on unnecessary luxury items if you have to charge it. If you haven't done so already, budget. Take some time to sit down and go through your budgeting, see exactly where your income is going. And also prioritize your purchases. You'll be surprised at how much money you're saving on a number 2 item as opposed to a number 1 item, brand in the nation, for example.
So generic, just like you would buy generic drugs if you're at the pharmacy.
Exactly.
Go for the lesser brand.
Right. The brand name might be attractive, but in the long run, you'll be saving money with the generic brand.
Yeah. And you know, with today's economy, obviously, people are cutting back on a lot of luxury items just because that's the way it is. And you sort of say, you know, cut down on a lot of the little small stuff because it adds up.
It does add up. For example, we know that there's rising gas prices and rising food prices, for example.
Yeah.
If you know you can cut back, for example, if you can carpool, if you could bring lunch from home, if you could not go out as much, if you could even make an attempt to ask your boss if you can work maybe 1 day a week, or try to implement the 4-day work week like the state of Utah just recently did.
Yeah, I like the way that sounds.
Exactly. So there are definite ways that you can kind of cut back and save your money.
I figured it out, Dan. I'll work on Thursday and alone, and you can work on Friday alone.
Nice.
And we'll save money that way.
We'll just bounce it off the boss. He'll be good with it.
Nobody will know the difference.
Exactly.
Nobody will. What about some other tips to cut?
Right. In regards to credit cards, for example, you need good credit. Good credit brings opportunities. You are able to afford a house. You're able to afford a car, for example. If you have a good repertoire with your lender, they'll see that you're responsible with your payments, and they'll give you rewards. They might even lower your interest rates, for example. So in the long run, you'll be saving a lot more money. Now, your credit report score, a good score is about 700. The highest that it goes is 850. And you can find out your score from 3 sources. There's Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. So if you give a call or if you do the research online, you can find out your score.
Is it free to get your credit score, or is there a fee involved?
No, it is free.
It is free. So if you have a less than stellar credit score, then I guess the goal is to try to get it up up.
Exactly. If it's lower than $700, then you know you really have to readjust your financial plan if you haven't made one already, and do some spending, cutting back.
Linsy John, thank you so much from Debt-Free America for those tips, and we want to remind our viewers the Debt-Free America Knows Budgeting pamphlet can be downloaded at the website, and we'll have a link at KUSI.com. Thank you very much.